Hey everybody, it's Christian Buckley doing another MVP Buzz Chat, and I'm talking today with Stefan. Hello.
Hello. Nice to meet you.
It's great to see you. And for folks that don't know you, who are you, where are you, and what do you do?
Okay, my name is Stefan Maroń. I'm originally from Germany, now living in Poland since almost a year. And I'm a Business Central developer for most of the time, sometimes consulting a little bit along, but yeah, all about technical stuff and development.
That's very cool. It's one of the things that for years going to Microsoft's, it used to be called the Worldwide Partner Conference, and got rebranded as Inspire. I would always stop by the Microsoft Dynamics booths. It just always, for years and years, it was like felt under supported. There was a
Mhm.
lot of news and things out there. It's like, and now I know, consulting companies. I have friends that work for companies that did a little bit of Dynamics, but were more like the collaboration on SharePoint side of things, building things, have completely shifted over. Like there's one of the biggest Microsoft centric consulting companies here where I live in Utah is like 80% of their business is now Dynamics. It's just booming and they're growing.
Mm. Well, it's still Dynamics is a huge area with lots of products, and it's sometimes interesting on LinkedIn when you get messages for work for Dynamics, and I just do Business Central,
Yeah.
nothing of the other dynamic things. But yeah, no, it's
Well, I get the same on the collaboration side. I mean, but branding is a fun thing that way. Yeah.
mhm, like
So
the full
what was
name.
your, so maybe for folks, so how long have you been an MVP now?
I've been just awarded last month. I think, yeah, beginning of September, so not even a full month just yet.
All right. So
Um,
now that you're an old timer, what advice? Well, what was your path to becoming an MVP? Like, how did you hear about it? Did you know other MVPs? Kind of what was that experience?
um, well, when I started with NAV or Business Central, I there were a few MVPs where I read probably all of their blog posts. I saw all of their content. It was really an inspiring thing. So that was when I first learned about the MVP idea in general and the people that are in the program. And I always felt like this was the end goal. Like this was my first impression before I learned that it's not the goal. Um, but yeah, it was always like more of a dream that I thought would never become real because like who am I uh, compared to those people? Um, but yeah, eventually I've met a few of them on conferences and talked to them and found out it's just normal people doing their stuff as well as I do my stuff. And yeah, my journey was just starting with contributions. Like I felt stuff should be publicly available. I always like to help people,
Mhm.
and apparently I got recognized for what I do. So
That is a difficult thing for a lot of people that are doing the work, doing the activities, and they're not going and searching after, trying for awards or accolades. They're sharing with the community, but is to then start identifying those contributions to, I don't know, package them in a way that could be
mhm.
considered for contribution. Um, the difficulty there is that there's a lot of people that I know that I feel should be MVPs because I know what they're doing, but they're just not visible in the community. And so is that something, did you change anything about how you were sharing out your contributions that
I'm not sure actually. I got
mm,
declined once. I think I'm not sure if 1 or 2 years ago. Um, I was nominated already for MVP and I got
mhm,
declined. And I think part of it is because I don't think blogging just for the sake of posting blog posts to get those contributions in some of those lists is worth doing. So I did not do
yeah,
that, and
yeah,
I feel like my contributions back then weren't counted um, as as much as they, in my opinion, should have maybe towards the MVP title. And what I changed was maybe that I found my way of contributing, what works for me and works for as towards the contributions. So my main points back then, which I still do, was like open source contributions. Microsoft changed a little bit their view on open source in the
Yeah.
past years, especially
Mhm.
also for Business Central. So maybe that was what changed a little bit as
Mhm.
well.
Yeah.
And then I also recently started to do live streaming on YouTube, where I just do like the my goal is a little bit to help the other developers, maybe just starting with Business Central development, or not having older colleagues in terms of work years and experience, just sitting next to them. So
Mhm.
my goal is just to do development, which I can share live on stream and answering questions, sharing my thoughts, my approaches on why do I do stuff like I do it, and
Mhm.
things like this. So this is
Yeah.
something I just started a few months ago. Um,
Yeah, I think having a variety of contribution types, because there are some people that will connect with you if you're doing live stuff and coding there, and they'll really gravitate towards that. Others like reading,
mm,
and so the blog content, they might find you through search or through other community posts. Some people will then, love public speaking and going and doing conferences and have the ability to go and do that. And so I always recommend to people, like, have a variety of contribution types. Then you have MVPs who, there are some out there that don't do any of that stuff. Like, I met a woman whose contributions or primary contribution was answering questions in forums.
mm,
So not trying to go and build a name, just likes, sharing, and that was her way of contributing to the community. And then she started sharing some of her solutions and code pieces, like over in GitHub in some community areas, and that was it. And so no blog, never, no YouTube site, never presented to even a user group locally,
mm.
and yet was able to catch the attention of somebody at Microsoft and get the award.
Yeah, I think that's a very very good point, and also I think the message I've learned over the last years that as I said at the beginning, MVP becoming an MVP can never be the goal. It's just um, part of the journey, I think, if you want to say
Mhm.
so. So it's all about helping out others, and whatever you can do to help out others best is probably what you should do.
Yeah.
So.
So so in the topic that you're writing about, so in Business Central related topics, like what is exciting? What's going on right now? What are you writing about and talking about?
Well, I think my first really open source contribution, which on GitHub, which took really pace in the last few months,
Mhm.
was an open source code analyzer. So I'm pretty heavy about clean code and approaches and reducing technical debt as much as possible. And I
Mhm.
found a way to write custom code analyzers, which directly in VS Code give you warnings about what you can improve or should improve. Microsoft
Yep.
provides a few of them. Um, a little bit disclaimer: this is not officially supported by Microsoft, but it works pretty well. So
Yeah.
yeah, we've I think we have now 70 rules or something on code checks implemented. So this is something I'm really looking at also in the streams to give advice how to write proper code, not only code that compiles and maybe works, but also is maintainable and really readable and stuff like that. So this
You
is
know,
one of my
companies that
areas.
have been built around solutions like that. In fact, one of my clients and partners, Rencor, they started, their first product was the SharePoint Code Analysis Framework, so SPCAF, and which is now called Rencor Code. But most of the ISVs that are in the ecosystem, and this is true in other ecosystems in the Google space and the Amazon space, is that you have a lot of products are developed by consultants, experts, or even in-house at a company, and then spun out into a product company.
Mhm.
Any aspirations to go that direction and build product and go and sell that, or keep it open source?
I think it will be open source as long as possibly possible. Um, Partly because it's not officially maintained, so there is no the interface changes really frequently with all the versions, so it's
Yeah.
breaking all the time. Um, but it's also like the open source idea was focused from the beginning. So I couldn't do this on my own, and right now I'm probably not even doing half of the development that's happening myself, um, because of all the contributions I get from the community. So it's really nice to see. So no, not really.
Yeah. Well, that, I mean, that's again, it's I'm a marketer, so I'm constantly thinking of like, hey, well, could this be a product? Could this be a service? How do we do this and go and sell more of it? But there's plenty of products that were based on community joint efforts. Then you take you take a slice of that, an imprint of that code base, build other features around it, and have a product. But a lot of the innovation continues to happen in that
Mm.
open source space, but you can then go and commercialize as well. But anyway, that's a neither here
Okay.
nor there. Yeah. But so going back and talking about your path, have you so since you've been an MVP for a solid month now, I'm sure you've had people come and talk to you about like any guidance, any recommendations for what to go and do. Like you've already talked about, just giving back and sharing the community. Any other recommendations for somebody that might have interest to add this to their path, to their goal?
Apart from what I said, I think the main thing is really do what you love to do, because otherwise you could never maintain it. You cannot force yourself to do something just to become the MVP, to get the MVP, because then what? Then you will maybe have 1 or maybe 2 years of MVP, and I'll need to see how it works out for me. Um, but yeah, if you want to keep the title, you need to maintain. You need to keep doing what you're doing, and if you do not love what you're doing, I think it will be hard. So
Be like
yeah.
having another job, a side job. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
exactly. No, it needs to be a hobby. You need to love what you're doing, and then um, the title will follow, I'm sure.
yeah. Well, and one thing I always say, because I do know a couple MVPs now who had a goal, a target of achieving MVP and struggled to get it, and finally just kind of gave up and just said, you know what? I mean, I've actually had a good friend of mine who he said, I've just decided I'm just going to withdraw my name from consideration because it doesn't matter anymore. It's like I so many benefits, like my business, his consulting company had grown, all the contacts that he had made. He's speaking at conferences all over the world. He's like, I've achieved all the things, success
Mm.
wise around it. So it's just not important whether I get it or not. And like a month later, he became an MVP. So
But this is exactly what I can relate to, because same thing. I started to build to like become part of the community that was the first step possibly, and then
yeah,
just get to know the people, get in touch with them, make myself a little bit a name as well, and then I just became part of the community, and everything else just followed naturally. So
yeah. Well, that's why. So a fellow MVP and I run a monthly. We've done it for about a year and a half. We have a cohort of people that are interested in becoming MVPs. And so anybody watching, if you are on that path and are interested, let me know, and I'm happy to invite you. We meet just online. It's not recorded because we want it open. Anybody can ask any questions, and most of it is just that so on a monthly basis, it's the first Wednesday of every month, and we just answer questions. Since we've been running it, we've had now 7 of our members become MVPs. And a lot of it is just about, it's exactly what you've described. It's like, be you, do that. Like we have some other advice, but it's really, you do have to make that shift to where you are, uh, again, I describe it as, packaging or surfacing or highlighting that content. A lot of people have a difficult time kind of ringing their own bell, like say, hey,
mm,
look at me, look at the things I'm doing. You have to do some degree of self promotion. Otherwise, like
okay.
who's going to see it to ever know? But if you are going and developing those community relationships, get to know the Microsoft people, the product team, or even your regional Microsoft people. Who are the MVPs that are in your region, that are in your technology? If you're following their blogs, if you're following their podcasts, connect with them, get to know them so that they know you. So when you're creating whatever type of contribution it is, that it's visible to them, and that it just, and then be consistent, just keep doing it, and you'll get benefits whether you become an MVP or not. There's benefits out of
Right.
just doing that.
Yeah, even
That
before
we seem to talk about that
now.
every month. Yeah.
Sorry, I would just want to say, even before now I became the MVP. I already had the connections also with the folks from Microsoft, with the other MVPs, and if I had something I wanted to promote or push or something, only through the connections already, they knew me, I knew them already, so the benefits were there already. Maybe now there are a little bit more, but
Yeah.
of course, like some benefits there have to be, but only the connections already are so much worth.
There's I mean, this is true. Like I've never really had to, not for many years, I'd say since 2006, have I really needed to use like a resume to go find work, because it's been through contacts, through referrals, people that have worked with me, that know me, and what I do in the community, and then I find work through those things. Most recent project that I added, it was I presented to a user group, and they liked what they saw and heard, and hired me to help as a consultant on certain projects. So um, it's the exact same thing with an as an MVP. It's to become an MVP, build those connections, have that authentic connection, and then build trust with the community, and then it's more likely to happen. I won't say that it will happen. There is no checklist of, hey, I'm doing all the right things, why am I not
No,
an MVP? That doesn't work.
no, that's right.
So, Stefan, really appreciate your time and getting to know you. And for folks that want to reach out and connect with you, where are you most active in social? Where can people find you?
Most active, I think, is X or Twitter, whatever you prefer. LinkedIn also works for me. Otherwise, GitHub. I think if you search for my name, you should find me of any of those platforms.
Okay. Well, we'll of course have the links out on the blog and out on YouTube, so people could find you and blast it out via all the social channels. So, Stefan, and the one other thing I always like recommend to brand new MVPs, hopefully you are able to make it over for the MVP Summit next year. I would say one of the best perk, I believe, of being an MVP is that annual get together in Redmond, because there's no other time when you'll see so many MVPs together, get to meet more people, get connected, as well as the product teams, the marketing teams at Microsoft. It's just fantastic.
Well, it's a flight for sure from Europe, but I will see what I can do.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it.
Well, Stefan, well, again, nice to meet you, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for having me.